The Dallas Mavericks are looking scary. The Mavs are coming off a first-round win over the Utah Jazz in 6 games, and they're just playing very well as a team overall, even when Luka was injured early on in that series. But quickly before we get the video started, for those of you who may not know, I'm Juicy Sports. I make opinionated NBA content, and if you guys enjoy videos similar to this, hit that subscribe button, that like button, and that post notification bell. I also want to quickly mention that I recently started up an MMA channel, and if you guys are interested in that, the link will be in the description. But anyways, let's get into it. The Dallas Mavericks have been one of the better teams in the NBA for some time now, but they never really were one of the elite teams. Originally, when the Mavs traded for Kristaps Porzingis, the hope was the Mavs would get to that point where they would be a legitimate championship contender, and the duo of Kristaps Porzingis and Luka Doncic would be able to bring multiple championships to Dallas eventually. But obviously, the KP experiment didn't work out in Dallas, mostly due to injuries, but also due to some other factors. And during the trade deadline this season, KP was actually traded away. And at the time of the trade, I actually thought the Mavs got better for 2 different reasons. The first reason, and the main reason, was the guy that they were getting back in the deal in Spencer Dinwiddie was known as a phenomenal scorer and also had the capability to run an offense. And why that's significant is because in the past, the biggest issue with the Mavs was the fact that they didn't necessarily have an extra ball handler to put next to Luka Doncic to take some pressure off him when he was getting doubled or triple teamed in the playoffs. Now, Luka is obviously so special he was able to overcome it, but the Mavs weren't necessarily able to win playoff series, at least that consistently, mostly due to that fact. But another reason why I thought the Mavs got better after that deal was because, as I mentioned before in the video, KP clearly had some injury issues, and if going into the playoffs he was injured once again, that would be a huge blow to the Mavericks. So the fact that they don't necessarily need to deal with that anymore, in my opinion, is seen as a win. And after that trade did happen, the Mavericks certainly played a lot better, and going into the playoffs, the Mavs were playing some of their best basketball of the year. And we certainly did see that translate in the Mavs' first round matchup against the Jazz, as even before Luka did get back, they were able to win a few games. And although Spencer Dinwiddie didn't necessarily have the best series in terms of efficiency, he certainly did put up some nice scoring stats as well as run the offense decently effectively when need be. But one guy who really had a phenomenal series was Jalen Brunson, and he was the main reason why the Mavericks were able to win games 1 and games 3 before Luka got back. But even once Luka got back, he continued his phenomenal play in that entire series. And of course, not to mention, once Luka did get back, he also played at his typical elite of elite level. But the reason why I'm saying the Dallas Mavericks are scary at this point isn't necessarily due to the fact that they were able to beat the Utah Jazz in 6 games, but it's more so how they were able to win and the type of players that they have on this team. And what I mean by that is how good the Dallas Mavericks offense looks. When Luka takes the ball up the court, he's able to do whatever he wants basically. He can run the pick and roll / pick and pop and score for himself, driving all the way to the basket, score for himself from that 3-point range, or he can also facilitate to the guy either rolling or popping, or he can break down the defense by isolating, getting by his initial defender, and once the defense collapses on him, he has the capability to kick out to a wide open shooter in the corner for a wide open 3 or the top of the key or whatever. And most of the players on the Mavericks at this point are very capable 3-point shooters, and if they have wide open catch and shoot 3-point jump shots, they're more likely than not going to hit those shots down. But also the fact that they added a guy in Spencer Dinwiddie who can do a lot of the same things that Luka could, of course not on the same level, but what I'm talking about is he can hit that catch and shoot 3-point jump shot, he can create for himself from that 3-point range, he has a very nice mid-range game, has a nice floater, could drive all the way to the basket, could somewhat facilitate from time to time when need be. But also they have another guy who has a similar skill set in Jalen Brunson, who of course can score from that 3-point range, that mid-range, and driving all the way to the basket, while at the same time being able to facilitate for his teammates as well. So the fact that they kind of have 3 players that fit into that role at this point has really been a huge benefit for the Mavericks in the playoffs so far, and in my opinion is also going to play a huge factor in their series against the Phoenix Suns. But now let's preview the series against the Phoenix Suns. So I think at this point the consensus is most people think the Suns are going to win this series in 5 or 6 games due to the fact that they have phenomenal top end talent in Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton, while also having phenomenal depth on the roster as well. But in terms of their team play, they also play phenomenal offensive sets, they have a phenomenal defense, and after making it all the way to the finals last year and unfortunately losing for their sake, a lot of people do think they are primed for an NBA championship victory this season, and I certainly think that is legitimate. They're a very good team this year, but at the same time, I don't necessarily think people should be underrating the Dallas Mavericks. But of course, it is going to be very difficult for the Mavericks or really any team to beat the Suns team. So if the Mavs do want to win this series, there's a few different things that they really need to do in this matchup. Now, the first thing is pretty obvious, but their main player in Luka Doncic needs to perform at a very elite level and play at the level that he was in the previous series. And in my opinion, I definitely think he will play at a very elite level in this matchup. And what I mean by this is not only put up great statistics in terms of your own scoring numbers, but also facilitate very effectively, make your teammates' lives a lot easier. But when it comes down to the clutch specifically in close games, he's really going to need to hit those clutch shots, which he has proven the ability to do so in the past. And in my opinion, I really do think that Luka is one of the more clutch players in the league, so I think he's not going to have that much of an issue with that. But obviously, Luka can't do it alone, especially in a series against the Phoenix Suns. Other players are going to need to step up, like guys that I mentioned in Jalen Brunson and Spencer Dinwiddie. But besides the main players on the Mavericks, their supplementary players need to step up as well. For example, a guy like Reggie Bullock is going to need to do a good job at spreading the floor effectively, hitting those catch and shoot three-point jump shots, as well as playing phenomenal defense. But the next thing that the Mavericks need to focus on is, even besides individual players, they just need to run great offensive sets and play a full 48 minutes of great offensive basketball. And what I mean by that is they need to continuously move the ball around, find the wide open guy, and the more ball movement that you have as an offense, the more difficult it would be for the defense to really keep up, and they would tire out as the game progresses. Now, I know a bit of ball movement from time to time just tire out the Suns defense a little bit, but especially when Luka does come off the court, the Mavs need to continuously facilitate the ball around in order to find a wide open guy and just tire out the Suns as much as they possibly could. But really, the main key for the Mavericks winning the series would be their defense, like it typically is for any team. The Mavericks can play great offense, but if they're not playing great defense, they're probably not going to win the series. Defense is always the key to winning championships. But the tricky thing about the Suns is they're very well-rounded. So the Mavs certainly do need to focus in on Devin Booker specifically, but at the same time, they also need to play great defense on everybody out there in the court, due to the fact that Devin Booker, of course, is a phenomenal scorer, but he's also a more than willing passer, and if the Mavs send a double or triple team to him, he's always going to find the wide open guy, and the Suns are so talented overall that they're more likely than not going to hit those jump shots decently consistently. And also, not to mention, if they focus in on Booker, they also have Chris Paul that can clearly go off at any point, and even have DeAndre Ayton, who at times can go off in the paint as well. So the Mavs certainly need to focus in on Devin Booker, but at the same time really play great team defense. And of course, the better the Mavs defense is, the easier it would be for them on the offensive side. And if the Mavs are able to do all those things that I mentioned, they certainly have a decent chance to win this series, but I don't really want to sugarcoat anything. The Suns are obviously a very, very good team, and it's going to be very difficult for the Mavericks to win the series, in my opinion, like it would be for any team in the NBA. But at the same time, I do think the Mavericks are talented enough at the very least to win this playoff series, and I don't think they should be overlooked. And this certainly is a series that I am very excited for, because of course anything could happen. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think the Dallas Mavericks could win this playoff series against the Suns, or do you not think so? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, check one of these two videos popping up now, and until the next time, peace out, guys.